Chat of Athletes.
Welcome back to Chat of Athletes, an ACG production original. I hope that you're doing good. I hope that you're doing fine. I am, as often and forever, will be known as HunchoJack, your host for this another episode. And I hope you're doing okay. We're doing it solo once again. We're going to get into this. This is part 2 of halfway through the season PSL roundup. PSL second half of the season prediction, part 2, where we're going from number 9 to number 16 on the log to see how the rest of the 8 teams stand for themselves and how they look in terms of everything. Hope you look good. Hope you're looking safe. I'm feeling great. I just got back. I've been shooting a couple of different shows. Everything looks looking pretty good. The production is looking a bit better. Your product is an original, obviously, because I'm authentic. And overall, man, I'm just happy to be back. Happy to be here again. Hope to give y'all a bit of entertainment and a bit of my perspective in all of this. But let's get into it. It's going to be a very quick, short episode. I will guarantee that one this time around. I will keep on clocking the time quick as while I'm recording. And yeah, let's get into it. And the first team we're looking at is number 9 on the log, Polokwane City. Coached by Puti Mohafe. Funny thing about Puti Mohafe, he's not the permanent manager of the team. He is still the caretaker manager of the team. But his boys have been playing pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. Played 16, won 6, drawn 2, lost 7 games, scored 12 in the process, considered 14. Have a negative 2 goal difference, but have 21 points on the log and sit 9th, just below TS Galaxy, which is a good position to be in halfway through the season. It's somewhat of a stable position because you have quite a bit of distance from teams below you in the log, but at the same time, there's enough ground to catch. You know, there isn't that much ground to catch when you look at the teams, top 3 teams above you, you know, number 8, 7, and 6, you know. So there's definitely some optimism there. They played really good football. Their last game they played against Moroka Swallows, and the game before that they played Chippa United, and they won against Chippa and lost against Moroka. No, they didn't lose. They drew to Sundowns. I don't know why I wrote lost. They drew to Sundowns 0-0 away from home, and oh no, they lost to Polokwane. Polokwane City lost to Chippa United and drew to Moroka Swallows. I apologize for that error. So last 2 games haven't. Well, the last game was a bit of a positive result because in terms of you look at the team that they were playing, number 1 in the log, unbeaten at that point. They had played 14, won 13 and drew 1. This being Moroka Swallows' second draw of the season. So there's a lot of optimism there. You look at everything that they have overall as a team. They have a forward player who is most likely going to be sold in the summer. And Apollos, you know, he started the season and his contract runs until 2026. And the club is very aware of the potential of having to sell him. And there's several teams, obviously. One team that'll always be in the hunt for a player or a new star player that pops up in the league as Kaizer Chiefs, obviously. As well as Orlando Pirates and Supersport. Of which they're typically the 3 teams of which would look for a player to improve their squads because they need improvement in certain areas. Unlike Sundowns, it wouldn't make sense to get a player like Apollos. You know, it'll just plug up the squad and create unnecessary difficulties within the squad. That's already close to perfection, offensively, that is. But yeah, Apollos is currently the team's top scorer, with 4 goals and 1 assist in the league. You know, and it's got both goals in the last one again. No, they beat Chippa United. Polokwane City beat Chippa United because I remember I fucked up. Again, I apologize. Apollos got both goals in that game against Chippa United, and he seemed it's the way they attack with him is very basic and very straightforward. Left side, play the ball down the channel, let him do his work, and some of his goals, I think one of his goals in that game was on the counter. And his finishing ability is very impressive. His speed is very impressive. Everything about him is impressive. He's a very good player. He's a quality player. And I look forward to seeing how Puti Mohafe plays for the remainder of the season. But still, as caretaker manager, there's questions of, do you give him the permanent job or do you not? I think he's done pretty decent so far. He has coached the team very well. And I think it wouldn't hurt giving him the permanency and the position, seeing how well he's done during his time as caretaker, or how pretty decent he's done during the job as caretaker. And looking at the second half of the season, you look at the type of team they're trying to build and where they're trying to go in the league. Of course, they're trying to survive and go up the log. So it's very important to have a certain level of continuity, especially with the manager who knows how to get your results when needed. So I have no reason to doubt. I think my only question is, how high can they climb? Can they be better than TS Galaxy second half of the season? Yes. Can they be better than an Amazulu? Not too sure about that. Can they be better than a Golden Arrows? Lamontville Golden Arrows. That's also a bit shaky. Yeah, take. So I'd probably put them, I think they might finish 9th. I think they might hold on to 9th. They might fluctuate in terms of go down a little bit, but I don't see them like going lower than 9th in the log. An optimistic finish for them would be 6th. If they finish 6th, I think it's an impressive campaign. So we'll see how they go. Now we look at a team that is, I'm desperate to see them come back to their former glory. I'm desperate to see them play better. I'm desperate to see them improve. And that is Lamontville Golden Arrows. I think it was episode 3 or episode 4. Episode 3. I'd said that Golden Arrows is my favorite team to watch in the league. And I think ever since I said the statement, everything about them has been going downhill. From performance to results and everything of that nature. They have lost 6 games in a row, 7 in all competitions. Their last victory was 2-1 against Kaizer Chiefs, which was on the 28th of October. They've just been bad. Like, they've just been horrendously bad. Whether it's a way of certain key decisions are going against them in a match, whether it's them making mistakes. And I think it's combination football in terms of when a player lacks the confidence, the overall play becomes very desperate. It lacks a certain level of potency and it lacks a certain level of fluidity. Because now every player is edgy, every player is nervous. In every moment, the most small things could go against you and your head just drops, you know. And if you're not one of the top teams in the country, your head is probably going to drop a lot of the time and small decisions go against you because you feel like, we're cursed here. You know, there's no way things like this happen. So it's really a very interesting position that they find themselves in. A very complicated one as well, because now if you're the management of the team of Lamontville, do you then decide to sack the manager? Do you stay with him? What then becomes the way forward in terms of the team as a whole? Do you improve certain players? Because you score goals, but you're failing to defend and like you're giving away penalties in games. You know, you're finding yourself in situations of which you're getting caught on the transition a lot. Or certain individual errors that lead to your conceding goals. And possibly the one game of which could have revived this season going to the second half was the Moroka Swallows game. But that game got called off and suspended because I'll get into that when I'm covering them. So it's like clearly the gods of football are against us. They've shined their backs on us and don't believe that we're capable of winning. They don't put us in a position to win. But it's tough, man. I think it's tough. I think they've had a first half of the season of 2 halves, literally, in terms of you lost 2 games. You lost to TS Galaxy and Orlando Pirates respectively, 2-0 to TS Galaxy at home and 2-1 to Orlando Pirates at home as well. So it's like, damn, those 2 games, Ekaya. Okay, fine. One of the biggest losses of the season is 4-0 to Mamelodi Sundowns. Their biggest win is 3-0 against Spurs United. It's like, what do we do? Like, what is the way forward? Like, going back on that point of focusing on the team, we ought to ask the question of, where do we try and work with what we have and fix up the problem, or do we try and adjust and restructure the team? You look at the front line, they have no injuries. They haven't been, linked with anyone that has made front pages in the news. So they're in a very difficult spot at the same time. But they have a pretty decent front line. Lunga Nonguse has been 14 appearances in the league, has 4 goals. You have Ryan Moon with 2 goals and 2 assists. You have Knox Mutizo with 2 goals and 1 assist. They play, and they're often the regular starters in the team. They have a front line that can score goals. They have a midfield that can create opportunities. They have a defense that can do pretty decently at times, of which some now really of late they've been shaky, beyond shaky to say the least. So, how do we look at it? Do we think they can turn it around? Sure, but do they turn it around with Abuti Kanyeza at the helm? What the? That is a question we ought to find the answer to. Yeah. Damn, I hurt myself there a little bit. Yeah, what? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. We really have to see how things play out for them and how things find themselves going. Where do I see them finishing? I see them finishing 12th, unfortunately. I think they're gonna sack Kanyeza. When they sack Kanyeza, the man who comes into the helm is not going to do that good of a job, but it's gonna keep them afloat for the remainder of the season. And I see them changing their coach as well at the end of the season. Yeah, that's that on Lamontville, man. They've hurt me enough times, and they continue to pain me. But yeah, what can I say? Football, man, the cruel sport. Let's get to another team. I'm gonna blow by them quickly. Moroka Swallows. Not a big fan of them. Don't watch any of their games. I've only catch I don't really like watching Swallows. I'm not gonna lie. Not a big fan of Steve Gombella personally. That is why I don't watch a lot of their games. But Swallows, they played 14, won 5, drawn 4, lost 5, scored 12, conceded 11, have a positive 1 goal difference, which means, and they have 19 points in the league. They were winless in their last 5 games. The last victory came against TS Galaxy on the 8th of November. Their last game played was a 0-0 draw versus Royal AM, and they failed to play their last 2 games against Sundowns away and against Golden Arrows at home. As I said, I'm going to get into it now. The biggest loss of the season is 2-0 against Orlando Pirates. Their biggest win is 3-1 against Cape Town Spurs at home. Not only is the manager at risk of losing his job, but I don't even think the manager's been paid yet. Or at the time of which I've read the articles and post the judgment coming out from the league, they hadn't been. They out of punishment. They hadn't paid their manager. The manager kept on losing games. Compella's one of the managers under pressure in the league in terms of bringing them results. A lot of us cries were that we have a lot of injured players, so a lot of our team is a makeshift team and trying to get win to get results. And he said that against Chippa, that game that they beat against Chippa, that game they beat against Orlando Pirates, they said that, and it's like we all suffer injuries. To lay on that as the bedrock to your team's failure to gain wins is a bit basic. It's a valid reason, but I don't think that it's enough of a reason for you to be like, hey, we're not winning because you don't have players available. It's like you have to find it. That's why you're the manager. That's why you're appointed. You're appointed to get results regardless of the circumstances. You can say to an extent, in football theory and football philosophy, it's an unreasonable expectation to expect someone to give you a positive outcome without the necessary resources. But such is the nature of the game and of the sport, that there's a certain level of expectation of unrealistic capabilities to be achieved by a manager. Meaning that even in the most absurd of situations, you are still expected to come out with something. Like, Swallows could have lost 8 of their first team players, and the others could have been makeshift players. Kompela could get sacked after losing, even with those makeshift players. But then his defense would be like, I didn't have my players. And then everyone else, the football critics, the football analysts, and the management, and the media as a whole will say, well, you're the coach. You're supposed to find a way to get wins, you know? So that's one side of it. That's the footballing side of it. Come to the financial and the management side of it. Swallows have also been in the media of late. They've been very poor in terms of they failed to pay their players their December salaries, which therefore led to the players boycotting 2 consecutive games, which is the one against Golden Arrows and the one against Mamelodi Sundowns. Consequence of that was that Swallows have been slapped with a suspended 1 million rand fine for failing to honor the 2 league games of which they were meant to play. They pled guilty to the charges of misconduct and bringing the league into disrepute. However, of that 1 million rand suspended fine, 400,000 is payable immediately, and a disciplinary committee cost must also be covered plus that 400,000 rand that's payable immediately. Should they fail, should a similar offense transpire within the next 2 years, the balance of 1 million rand, that balance, which means that 600,000 is payable immediately after the 2 years. Within the 2-year period, if they commit a similar crime again, or if they commit that similar breach again. Now, I don't know where the flip they're going to find that money, because they already paid to fail their players. I don't know whether the issue with failing to pay their players was because of a lack of finances or a lack of financial planning. In terms of when they drew up their financial plan for the month of December, they didn't anticipate paying their players early, because the players wanted an early salary because they want to spend it on Christmas on their kids, but they couldn't. So yeah, it was a bit iffy. I don't know if they've paid or not. That's behind them and them and close doors. But what I know for sure is that they're in deep waters, deep trouble. And I see them finishing 14th, to be honest. They're one of the teams I see dropping down the log. I think teams from 9th and below, it's very tricky to see them go above the table. So they're most probably going to drop points rather than gain points. I don't think health is a thing. Health is a thing of concern with Swallows. I think just playing well is a concern with Swallows. And sure, they have a striker on from Pirates so on 6 goals about the season. But it's like, why not such a lengthy pause for the season? Plus the way the team has been playing before this point, it's like, hey guys, I'm not too sure about your guys' ability to get enough wins to go up the log. You'll get enough to survive, but not enough to go up. Plus, the 2 teams in the bottom really are helping everyone else's case of survival, to be honest. With number 11 down, number 12 on the log is very important to consider. I don't really know too much about Sekhukhune United. I know enough to say that they are struggling this season because their squad has been stretched thin by having to play continental football. Because they're doing pretty decently well in CAF Confederations. They might even qualify for the knockout phases, for the group stages, I meant to say. I think they have 2 games to play. But it's also like their squad is very wary and very thin. It's a similar situation I've seen in Premier League football, which the season Leicester made it to the Champions League. They failed to manage their squad well enough to play both competitions and be competitive in both. Now, the consequence of that is if a team isn't good enough to compete on both fronts, it normally struggles. And this is one of those situations in which they're probably going to struggle finding a good enough team to go on both fronts. So they might have to prioritize the single competition. And when you prioritize continental football, a lot of the time domestic results tend to slip a little bit. Now, do I see them going down the log? Most probably. But I don't know how far down they're going to go, to be honest. But do I also see them possibly going up the log if they got knocked out of the CAF Confederations? Yes. So I think a lot of the a lot of a lot of a lot of the a lot of their second half results depend on the squad as a whole in terms of the competitions that they play in. So I'll probably say they probably go up the log. I'll have to say eighth, seventh, eighth or seventh. Yeah, between eighth and seventh. But that's me assuming that they're gonna get knocked out of the CAF Confederations because they're doing pretty decent, man. You know, their biggest loss is by 2 goals, and their biggest win of the season is by 2 goals. You know, they have a negative 1 goal difference. They're on 18 points. You know, 2 wins in their last 5 games, unfortunately. You know, and the next 2 games are against Chippa United at home and against Spurs United at home. So they have 2 back-to-back home games. But then their last 2 games was a 1-1 draw against Kaizer Chiefs at home and a loss away 1-0 to Amazulu. And the game against Stellenbosch, which they were meant to play, got suspended because I think Stellies were playing on the cup on that weekend. So overall, it's a pretty tricky one, you know. But they have a good team, man. Chibuko Ohizu, 4 goals on assist, 38% goal participation with the team. Then you have Elias Mukwana, 3 goals and 3 assists, of which phenomenal. You know, 3 goals, 3 assists in 13 games. That's a massive return. Not many players put up double stats. You know, put up significant stats in both departments, goals and assists. And I think he's had a pretty good start to the season so far. And I like to see what he has second half of the season. So we'll see. We will really, really, really see. We'll really see actually. No, their first two fixtures coming back in the second half of the season is SuperSport away and Richards Bay at home. Of which, when they played SuperSport last time, the result ended 2-1. And then when they played against Richards Bay, the result ended 1-1. Obviously, 2-1, SuperSport beat them. So, looking at the next team, Chippa. Chippa play our number 13 on the log. I'm not going to lie, this is a team I see get relegated. I'm not going to lie. Okay, I can speak about this team. Okay, these next 4 teams, they're very likely to get relegated, any one of them. And there's not really much to say. They're just not good enough. It's really that simple, that basic. So, with Chippa, played 16, won 4, drawn 6, lost 6, scored 12, conceded 16, negative 4 goal difference, but set on 18 points. Many teams, I think 3 or 4 teams in the league are tied on 18 points, and it's just separated by goal difference, obviously. Yeah, they tied on points with Sekhukhune and Royal AM, and only the goal difference separates them, yes. Their last 2 games was a loss to TS Galaxy and a loss to Polokwane City at home. Chippa didn't play the final week of the season, obviously, as you can see. And then, no, they played the last game of the season was against TS Galaxy away, and they lost. No Bacheta still isn't paid till this day. Pause. Biggest loss of the season is 3-2 against Royal AM at home. Their biggest win so far is 2-0 against Lamontville Golden Arrows at home. Morgan Mamela exited as head coach and shifted to a new role of technical director, which I found very funny. I was just like, well, this is a bit weird. Is it a sack or is it just a reappoint? Or is it just a shift in position? And the way I saw it as a sack. I saw it as though I think it was to save his pride and integrity, but also at the same time, it's also strategic in terms of, while you have footballing expertise, which I think is important, but we don't think that you're a good enough coach for this team because we don't think you're matching well with the players. So we're going to shift you to a different role. And now we have 2 people who are coming in as co-coaches for the first team. And yeah, Chippa Mpengesi, Mr. Sevilla Chippa Mpengesi, that made the decision to switch his position, switch his role. I don't think he necessarily made that decision, but I think he had the final say on it, obviously as the chairman of the club. So it's very impressive to see how they kind of twisted it, but didn't really alter it too much. So it's like, do you still like the same system and the same structure, but you just would like to have a different voice having to influence how everything else is set up on the pitch? Or is it overall saying that these two coaches have autonomy to do whatever they like with the team and how they want the team to play in order to get us results? We just need you for other things now. Because at the end of the day, you're still having an impact on the football team. But it's also the role of a technical director is a very broad one. They don't really do much, but they do a lot, depending on what they choose to specify in their type of like their line of work that they choose to do. But you're a technical director, so you're not a fully hands-on person. You're just a yes and naysayer in a lot of the situations. So I don't get it. I don't get it. That's why I'm saying this team could get relegated, because I think the lack of ruthlessness in how they approach this is very suspect in terms of it's making me a little bit unsure about them, a little bit unsure about how overall they will approach the second half of the season. And there's two players of which they know that they might potentially sell, and it's Libito, Lenwabile. Nobody currently linked to the move to Kaizer Chiefs, and the contract expires at the end of the season. Jesus fucking Christ, man. And then on the injury list, you have Jamondre Dickers, who suffered a knee injury and has missed games since 2021, 69 games so far. We hope that he recovers soon and he gets back onto the pitch. But onto the way the team is playing, I don't like this team. I don't like their chances. Yeah, they only won one in their last 8 games in the league and 9 in all competitions. Yeah, it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good for them. But the funny thing is the teams below them are even worse, which is crazy. Royal AM, I don't care about their stats. Okay, we'll go over their stats. To be respectful to these 3 following football teams, we'll go over their stats and be transparent. Royal AM have last 2 games is a 3-0 loss to Amazulu away. That's their last 2 games is a loss, 3-0 to Amazulu and a draw to Moroka Swallows at home. They lost away to Amazulu 3-0. I think the biggest concern and the biggest reason for failure would be the fact that they start Adil and Pisani in their team. We get it, he's the chairman of the club and practically the owner of the team. I'm not sure if he's the direct owner or if his family is the owner of the team, basically mother. But he holds a very important position in that team. I think he owns it. I think his mother gave it all to him. But as the chairman of the team, I'm genuinely going to say it, he's the sole reason why the team failed. And it's because he's not good enough football. He barely is good at football. And the fact that he starts in the team makes it very difficult for the team to really play well. One, it makes it difficult for the players to respect the coach. They love the money, obviously, because it pays their flipping bills. But I think from a footballing side, there's a lack of respect that goes into. There's a bit of forgetting the honor that comes with football, the privilege of playing in a particular team, and it's the fact that it takes hard work and dedication to put yourself in that position, and obviously luck. But overall, there's a certain level of disrespect and disrepute that comes with granting a player a position in the starting 11 solely because his parents own the team. It's like in Formula One. This is a very funny one, but in Formula One, when Haas was owned by the Russian owner, and his son was given one of the 2 seats of the team, it's like that. Nikita Mazepin, the Mazepin family, his father was the owner of the team, and in order for him to own the team, his son had to have one of the seats on the thingy. Don't get me wrong, his son was a very hardworking person who put himself in a position to drive, to be a Formula One driver. But let's be open and transparent and say that there was a high level of privilege that played a role in him getting that seat anyway, because at best he would have been the reserve driver. So, and it's a similar situation here, which since we own the team, my son will get to play in the team. And if he doesn't play for too long, there'll be pressure put on the coach to put him in the starting 11. Though the team desires results, the inconsistencies will come to the coach succumbing to the pressure that comes from the management. And if that doesn't stop, it'll never play well for them. Eventually, it gets to a point in which it catches up to them. Most the players don't desire to play for the team anymore, and they just let the team lose. Fortunately enough, it hasn't gone to that point yet, but it's pretty close to it because their 3-0 loss against Amazulu was solely because they attacked the side and Dylan Pisani was in. Because they knew, 1, he can't run with us. 2, he's not that good on the ball. 3, let's just press on the side. Once all 3 goals went in the first half. Once the second half came in and they took him off the pitch, the other players the guy who played right midfield played really well. They didn't concede any opportunities. They created a lot of chances for themselves, and they put themselves in a decent enough position to be threatening. Unfortunately, they couldn't get back into the game. But at the end of it all, we can say that nepotism fucked up the whole thing. I don't care about their stats. Okay, only say man pro. Good season so far. 3 goals, 1 assist. Menzi Masugu, Shifta Masugu. I'm not gonna lie, Menzi Masugu introduced me to the DSTV Premeirship, to the MDC multi-choice DSTV Premeirship. He was one of the, I think 2015, 2016, when he broke into the Orlando Pirates first team, he was the face of MDC in terms of, you see how you can go from the development team to the first team. And I used to have a love for him, and I'm thankful that he's still able to keep his spot in the league and have a team that that embraces him, that allows him to play his football. And he's having a good season so far. 2 goals, 2 assists in the league and 9 appearances. So he's doing pretty decently. And then you have Hope Tele with 2 goals in the league. Thabo Matlaba, also who was in that 2015-2016 Orlando Pirates team. One of the last few quality players Pirates had of that era. Okay, let's be honest. The 2015-2016 Pirates team was pretty good. You had Ndoro, you had Makola, you had a lot of quality. You had Jelle in defense, you had Mhlongo and goal, Brighton Mhlongo. You had a very good team. But yet, so far this season, Thabo Matlaba 2 goals and 1 assist. He's playing really good football. Overall, the team is playing decently, but they have patches of which they just can't find wins and can't find results. And sometimes, because Olympisan is on the pitch, but yeah, hopefully they just need to stop it, man. Just play the players who deserve to play and stop playing the child. See about it's stressing us here. I'm going to start off with the last team on the table. I'm going to end up with Richards Bay. Or I might do it the other way around. Okay. I'm going to do this quick. I'm going to cover both teams. Both played 16. Cape Town Spurs have won 1, drawn 1, lost 14. Richards Bay played 16, won 3, drawn 4, lost 9. Scored 13. Conceded 20. Cape Town Spurs conceded 33. So Cape Town Spurs has 4 points. Richards Bay has 13. The only bright spark for Cape Town Spurs is, sure, they've signed 2 defenders now, or on the verge of signing a second defender, because they signed their first defender on a free transfer, of which was in Moroka United before. I forgot his name. But then you have Richards Bay, of which have set their former coach Tembo. And they seem to be on a roll. They seem to be playing pretty good, The only downfall for them transfer-wise is the fact that Orlando Pirates have extended Kelly's contract, of which Amazulu, alongside with Richards Bay, had decided to take him on loan for the remainder of the season. But, that's that. You have Cape Town Spurs on the other side who are bringing in defensive reinforcements because they understand they want to stop shipping in goals. But the only price spot that they have is Luke Bartman. To be honest, personally for me, because I think he's a player with a lot of value. Come the end of the season, there'll be a couple of teams looking to sign him because he's a prospect and he's a pretty decent player. 17 years of age. So far in the season, 2 goals, 33% goal involvement overall this season. So it's pretty good. They have a pretty good player on their hands. They have a pretty good team. And I think it's unfortunate for them. I think similar to Richards Bay is that they find themselves in games, but they just fail to put away chances. I think the biggest show for Cape Town Spurs was against Cape Town City in the derby, of which the media and the narrative was that they got dominated, but that wasn't the case. They had chances, but they just failed to put them on target and really threaten and score and equalize when they needed to. So that's one negative. But unlike Cape Town Spurs, Richards Bay found a silver lining when they finally beat SuperSport United 3-1, of which started off as a previous game of which they were under immense pressure. They found themselves getting very lucky on certain opportunities and chances. But at the end of the day, we can truly say that it is a very interesting season that they've had so far. That there's a lot more to come from them, I think, especially under the leadership of their new interim coach. The interim. It's an interim. An interim head coach. He's just the guy standing in who has just been recently appointed, who was the assistant manager to Dembo, of which prior to that was at Lamontville Golden Arrows. And I think he might have a future. I think he might take over the team and impose his identity and to really kick on with the club. I think he has the players in his hands, and they have the belief in what he can do and what way he can take them as a team. So I don't see why the whole thing would fail, to be honest. But overall, I like the team. I like how they play. I like what they're trying to do. I'm a big fan of Richards Bay so far, and I'm hopeful that they climb up the log. I see them finishing 13th, surviving and not getting relegated. Probably getting relegated next season if they don't improve their squad immensely. But for now, I see them finishing 13th. Or just making it out of the play, just making it into a playoff position, winning the playoffs and staying up in the league. Cape Town Spurs is going down. There's nothing else but to say. They failed to take their chances, and I think they'll still continue to fail to take their chances. I think Ernst Middendorp taking the job was career suicide. You're not Superman. You're not Clark Kent. You are Ernst Middendorp. That's all you are. And that's it, man. I don't have much else to say about both teams. I think I'm looking forward to Richards Bay playing better football second half of the season. I'm looking forward to Cape Town Spurs giving teams free results again. I think the Cape Town Spurs are going to get 2 more wins second half of the season. Like 3 draws, and that's it. The rest are just going to be losses. But I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you're not going to comment anyway. It's fine. But thank you for watching. I appreciate the time and effort you've taken to view this episode. It may come to you late, but better late than never. And thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you come back next week. Oh yes, flip. I mustn't forget to make this announcement. Channel Athletes is covering AFCON starting from next week. At the time of recording in South Africa, I've already lost 2-0 to Mali. Very disappointed, very heartbroken by that. But yes, we're going to cover AFCON. And another announcement is that 2 brothers here. The trailer will be dropping on Sunday. Check it out on the channel. And I hope, I really hope that it does really well. And Diddy Dante Basketball is doing a little bit different second season. We're shooting it in documentary format. And episode 1 is going to be about me. I think I've spoken enough about other sports. I haven't spoken enough about myself. And I think, let me brag a little bit. I think I'm a very different individual. I think that I have a particular talent and I don't think I have this particular talent, but I think I have a skill and I have a mind that thinks different. And I think I'm trying to bring something different to South African YouTube. And for sure, definitely, the next 2 shows that are coming up are curiously mainly right on my brain and my ability to think, not even outside the box, but the ability to maximize the space within the box and come up with something creative. So I hope that you all enjoyed the shit that I have covered, man. I'm really psyched. Like I'm really psyched. And yeah, enjoy. Take care. And thank you. Yanabuha. I'm Shani. Hambani kahle, salam kahle. Bye.
Chero Badlings.